It's that time of the year where criminals are targeting unsuspecting customers to rob them of their hard-earned cash. Banking fraud cost the economy 740 million rand last year.
The impact on economy is significant, because that's where we see even on the ATM explosive attacks that increased by 23%. We're looking at the figures of 2021 and 2022. So definitely there is a huge impact on the economy, and hence financial crime has to be addressed significantly.
There are various frauds that are topping the list, ranging from cybercrime, kidnappings, phishing, cryptocurrency and social media type of fraud. The fraudsters usually ask customers for OTP numbers and send them links, and once they click on the link, are then defrauded. Consumers are urged to be more cautious and not reveal their personal information to anyone, as the bank will never ask you for this type of information.
They still click on links. They receive an email asking them to update their details, update their account details. They think they are dealing with the bank or with some other service provider, whether it's Postnet or Take-A-Lot or whatever. But this is a fraudulent email. It's just made to look like it is from the actual institution. And of course, a consumer only will do this if he's not aware that he's on the fraudulent website. So they insert all their details, and then the fraudster has everything.
When you receive those suspicious calls, because it might be phishing calls, it might be phishing, it might be smishing. When you receive those calls, please make sure that you end that call immediately, or do not respond onto those linkage and report it to your bank on the fraud line. Do not click on any link and end it immediately, because that's where on the phishing space they will call you purporting to be from your bank, and that's where they utilize the social engineering element to harvest your personal details and utilize them to access your banking.
Kidnappings are now a new trend where fraudsters take an individual by force and demand banking details at gunpoint. In some instances, consumers are either forced to withdraw cash at the ATM or from their banking app.
They're no longer just attacking you and your bank account virtually. They're literally holding guns to their victims' heads and putting their lives in danger, especially if the victim does not comply with their demands. In some cases, organized crime syndicates profile their targets in advance. And in these cases, they mostly target large business owners or wealthy individuals.
Just what are some of the blunders that makes banking customers to be victims of fraud?
We have seen that people are over relaxed, even on holidays. During holidays, we are more relaxed and we are not alert to security measures. So we urge our viewers saying, be cautious, always be cautious, always be alert, more especially on this festive season. When you are doing your withdrawals at the ATM, be alert. Do not allow anyone on your personal space while you're busy at the ATM. Do not accept any assistance from anybody who's loitering around the ATM.
During the festive season, criminals capitalize on the fact that many people have more disposable cash in their pockets, but it's also the time when most consumers lose most of their money. The crimes with the highest incidence remain cybercrime and investment scams.
In South Africa right now, the top three are advanced fee scams, investment scams, and cyber scams. And those are the three highest volume scams. But the highest value in terms of losses is romance scams. And we don't get many people coming forward to report them because they are embarrassed or they feel ashamed about having fallen victim for a romance scam.
The Ombudsman says that its latest financial report has shown that most of the banking fraud complaints were resolved in favor of the banks, and that this is primarily because some of the cases involve criminal activity and the banks were found not to be at fault. In some cases, customers were negligent as they provided their personal information to criminals.
When we investigate, we try and identify whether the bank was at fault, whether they could and should have done something different. And if they, their systems were not hacked, if they sent you an OTP, so to make sure that you've got this double factor authentication, and you disclose that OTP to a fraudster, it's not the bank that can be held responsible to just refund all the money that a consumer loses due to fraud.
Consumers are urged to be vigilant and be more responsible with their money. Experts say that you should always verify the website you are using when transacting.
The first thing we need to remember as consumers is we need to be vigilant and we need to be responsible. We also need to not let our emotions rule our decisions. I know right now it's holiday season. It's a time when we want to be trusting and we want to be giving, but be careful about how you do that, where you do it, who you do it with, what type of online site are you visiting? Did you check to see that it is a valid website?
Only about 15 to 20% of the fraud incidents are reported by the victims, but where the cases are reported, banks have been able to recover about 4 to 8 billion rand on behalf of consumers in 2022. Naledi Matlapeng, SABC News, Johannesburg.